and Aadhaar card, smart card.
Good morning, participants. A request to all the participants to keep their mic and video camera muted until the event is complete. You can have your mic open or unmuted during the discussion session so that you can ask the questions to the guest speaker. Thank you. So, a warm good morning to all the participants gathered here for the webinar. Before starting the session, please confirm my audibility and are you able to see my video feed?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Abdul Majid. Thank you, Pa. So, we have all gathered here for today's webinar on bioplastic potential and scope for a sustainable environment. So, at this juncture, I would like to welcome our guest speaker. Firstly, I would like to welcome the guest speaker of today's session, Dr. Justin Samuel, who is the professor of the Waste Valorization Research Lab, School of Bioengineering and Bioscience, Lovely Professional University, Jalandhar, Punjab. Sir, please welcome for this webinar. And next, I would like to welcome our beloved principal and CEO, sir, for the event. I welcome them in their absence, and then all the faculty members from the Department of Microbiology and the other departments are joined here of the Ratnam Institution, and also the faculty members from the other institutions as well who have come across on this platform for the webinar. I welcome them, and most importantly, I welcome all the student participants and the scholar participants for joining here with us today for this webinar. So once again, I welcome all of you to this webinar. Before letting the speaker present his views, let me give a brief introduction on Dr. Justin Samuel. So our guest speaker of today's session has completed his BSc Microbiology from Bharathiar University by the year 2007, and by the year 2009, he has completed his Applied Microbiology, MSc in Applied Microbiology from University of Madras, and then he continued to complete his PhD, that is his doctoral degree in Environmental Biotechnology by the year 2014 from VIT University, Vellore. And as far as his employment is concerned, he has also been involved. He had also been involved in DST Junior Research Fellowship at the VIT University by the year 2010 to 13, and then he continued his research as CSIR Senior Research Fellow at the same university, that is the VIT University, from 2013 to 14, and then as a research associate at the MS Swaminathan Research Foundation, one of the renowned institute at Chennai, from 2014 to 17, and then as an assistant professor. Right now he is acting as an assistant professor at the Lovely Professional University at Jalandhar, Punjab, from the year 2018 till now. And this institution has become one of the renowned institution. Already it's a renowned institution, and now it has come to the limelight because we all know that one of the Olympic gold medalists, Neeraj Chopra, is one of the alumni of this institution. And as far as his research interest and achievement is concerned, Dr. Justin Samuel leads the waste valorization research team at the Lovely Professional University, and he has over a decade of experience in pathway and impact assessment, water treatment, bioremediation, water security, constructed wetland, ETP, STP, reuse studies, capacity building and dissemination. He has worked for several national and international donors like DST, Department of Science and Technology, Department of Biotechnology, that is DBT, all these are the central government funding institutes, CSIR, EU, and IC Impact. He has experience in developing a sustainable solution for industrial effluent treatment using constructed wetland connected to real-time monitoring system, which is operated by the industry currently and being replicated in other sugar industries across the country. So that is one of the major contributions. And he has been part of different Indo-EU, that is European countries meeting held in India and EU, European Union. He has experience in developing business model for circular economy with a team of 3M vice presidents. He is also an international consultant for Kuwait government on impact assessment of biodegradable plastic on soil and water as per international industry guidelines, and national consultant for various research organizations and industry across our country. His team of doctoral and master degree students are right now working on PET, PS, and PP micro and nanoplastic pathways from land to river in Buddha Nala catchment area in Punjab, as well as in Adayar River catchment area in Chennai. Also, his team is focusing on the mechanism of interaction of bacteria with microplastics in aquatic environment, which is more prone to be contaminated or polluted by other external influences. He is also the co-editor in Frontiers in Environmental Science, special issues on plastic, microplastics, and nanoplastics, pollution management and mitigation. He has enormous record of scientific publication from well-renowned journals, and he is also acting as editor in various journals for Elsevier journals. We know Elsevier is one of the renowned publishers across the globe, and he is acting as editors in almost 4 and above journals. And he has also done a lot of industry collaborative projects starting from the year 2010, that is during his research as a research fellow, and till now he is continuing that with this consultancy projects with various institutions. So with this brief introduction, I request our guest speaker to carry over the session. So we are so happy to have you here on this today's session, because from what I went through the topic recently, after the report of 2020 and a book chapter, they say that 8.3 billion metric ton of plastic is being produced every year, and 6.3 billion ton is goes to the trash, and only 7% of this is being recycled, and the others are left to be dumped. Okay, so bioplastics are the alternative, one of the important alternative method to mitigate the damage created by this plastics, which is a big problem for environmentalists as well as for the human life itself. So I hope this topic as well as the speaker will provide you with a lot of information. Participants, kindly please listen to this session and have a habit of discussing at the end of the session. We have an eminent speaker amongst us, so please discuss. Thank you. So please carry over the session. Thank you all.
I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Am I?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Srinivasan, for the wonderful introduction you gave. And I hope I'm visible too. Thank you. So it is indeed a pleasure for me to talk among all of you. I was once upon a time, I'm from the same place, Bharatiyar University. So I still remember my memories there. My first conference I attended in Bharatiyar University, where Abdul Kalam, then President, Honorable Sir, had visited. It was indeed a great memory for me. When I recall Bharatiyar University, that's what comes to my mind. So, bioplastic. I think all of you would have heard the term plastic and bioplastic. It's not new for everyone. So today I'm going to share important information about plastic, and then what is the problem with the plastic, and then we'll see that why are we actually going towards bioplastic, what is the necessity for that. Okay, so I think this space is comfortable with everyone, the participants. If it's comfortable, you can type that it's fine or comfortable over there in the chat box. Yes, I think participants can answer, I think, in the chat box, right, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So let me share my slide first. I think the slide is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I am from Waste Valorization Research Lab. This lab was founded by me with the motivation that waste cannot be treated alone; it has to be valorized. So without valorization, I don't think that we could expect any sustainability in waste treatment or processing. So the first ever kind of lab was established with the help of Lovely Professional University inside the Lovely Professional University campus itself. And one more good news I wanted to share with all of you also. As per the THE ranking, in International University Ranking, World University Rankings, yesterday night we came to know that our school, Bioengineering School, has been selected as number 10th in India. So something that this is the first time we went for ranking and we have got 10th ranking. So that shows that I wanted to share the happy news with you guys also. So the hard work we have been putting for the last few years has worked out. So there's no substitute for hard work. That's the only term I can use. Chalo. So let's go to the next slide. What is the problem with plastic, sir? Plastic is very common. So you would have heard a lot of problems that are there with plastic in your school days and college days, and every time you would have heard someone telling that this is the problem, that is the problem. Let's see in statistics what is the problem. You see, in the year 2010, plastic had reached 270 metric tons of production. How much? 270 metric tons. And you can see in 2015, that is 5 years, there is near about a huge jump to 322. And 2017, 348, 18, 359. I have not added the 2020 or 21 data. The reason is 2020-21 data still has not come out, and they are expected to be double of it, because now due to COVID, a lot of plastics like aprons and masks and other things, a lot of things have been used and produced also. So it is expected to even go to around 500 metric tons and more. Now the production is increasing. Where is it going? Always when there is a beginning, there is an end. What about the end? If the production is increasing at one side, it is being used and it has a life cycle where it ends. But the ending point is the matter. We always don't know where it ends, and we always keep ourselves away from the ending point, isn't it? We have a habit of, like, in the house, you cut vegetables, you do everything, you generate waste, but you're not worried about where that waste goes. How many of us are worried? We're not worried. We're just worried about what is prepared and whether it is prepared tastily or not. It is good or not, it's healthy or not. But we're not concerned about what happens with that waste. So same is the case of plastic also. Everybody are appreciating the purpose where it is used, but very rarely people appreciate or understand what happens at the end. So that's where the plastic started to accumulate a lot in this earth. So why do we need alternative plastic is the question, right? Why should we go for alternative plastic? The thing is, plastic is very, very important. The reasons are, it is lightweight, sustainable, okay, and it is flexible, okay, cost effective, highly durable. These are the reasons actually that everybody is actually going for plastic. You buy a plastic cover, you know that the plastic cover, you can have it for a very long time, isn't it? You can have it, you can use it for one purchase, or second time you go to a shop, petty shop near your house, you're going to buy few things. In those days, people used to have a different set of bags. Those bags were different, right? What they used to call them, I think, wire bags or something like that, which you use for a long time. You take tiffin box in your young days to school and all. Those things were there, but everything is replaced by plastic now, isn't it? So if you see, the reason is lightweight, durability, flexibility, and high, cost effective. That's more important. For 1 rupee or 50 paisa, you can get a very good plastic card. So then it's durable for a long time. The birth is actually, it's man-made, it's easily shaped. That's the birth of plastic, it's man-made. So what is about the death of the plastic? It doesn't happen. It don't break easily, that's the problem. And when you break them, they get converted into microplastic. Now, as Sir was introducing, you would have seen that in introduction, you would have told that I work on microplastics and nanoplastics also. Because microplastics and nanoplastics in the last few years, if you see, a lot of people have started to work on that, and we have discovered that microplastics and nanoplastics are there in several different things. Like, for example, they found in one uterus, there was a report that they have found microplastic. And there are tea bags usage. After that, they found that in the tea there are microplastics. So many places they have reported microplastics. So there are places where we can't even imagine where microplastic has reached already. So now you see the pharma industries have some of the systems to test that actually whether their end product has got microplastic or not. Those instruments are very costly. Now let's not go into that. But you know that the plastic usage again will convert it into microplastic. So recently I was reading some news where somebody was telling that they are converting plastic waste into dress material, right? And everybody were applauding, but I was not actually. I was worried. The reason is that still the plastic, when it goes on being used for other purpose also, you will see that it is converted into microplastic. They started taking plastic into tires also. The tires that come, car tires, lorry tires. So do you know that in the roads, there are so much of microplastic generated. Once the rain comes, those microplastics are washed away into the water. What happens with microplastics, sir? They are also not degradable. Even if you break them, they become microplastics. They're not degradable, and what they do, they cause even more problem. What is that? The microplastics, to that pathogenic microorganisms can adhere onto very easily. Earlier, the microorganisms which were searching for the substrates, and large substrates like rocks and soil were available, for them floating substrates which are microplastics are easily available, where they can attach, and the pathogenicity, the what to say, like the bioavailability of them are so higher than earlier it was. And then when you look at heavy metals or any pollutions, any contaminants like that, if you see, they are also adhering onto the surface of the microplastics, creating even more problem. So if you see plastic at larger scale or converted into smaller, anywhere it is problematic, isn't it? So now you know that how severe it is. Now if those things are there in any of the products that we use daily, then that's going to be a problem for us. So these are all some of the reasons. And then if you see, you can only 9% recycle the plastic that is being generated. Then that you can imagine, out of 359 metric tons, how much is recycled. Even the recycled ones, there is a question whether they are upcycled or downcycled. We'll come to that later. Now, when you burn the bioplastic, again it's a problem because it releases the greenhouse gas. So it's not good for any other way, it's not good at all. People say that we keep repeatedly using them, then its wear and tear generates microplastic and nanoplastic, again it's problem. So the problem doesn't stop with plastic. So that's what I want to highlight here. Because unless and until you understand the problem, you cannot get into the solution. I think all of you know our Indian movies. Mostly in Indian movies there is a common phenomenon. Like you would have seen that you always show the villain and how tough or worse the villain is, right? Initially if you see, that is how they show. The villain, however the toughest villain is, that much powerful the hero is, isn't it? Isn't it? So villain is very, very important. Here the villain is plastic. You should understand the problem that is associated with plastic. Unless and until you understand, you will not understand the worth of the solution that I'm going to say. Now, what we have to focus on? If plastic is problematic, what is the thing that we have to focus on? We have to focus the continuous raw supply, raw material supply and sustainability. And what we have to see is management and disposal of bioplastic. The problem is, we are searching for an alternative. The alternative is going to be bioplastic. If we say bioplastic is going to be an alternative, we have to search for how to dispose them. Because even bioplastic, I'm going to come to that part, they are also not fully proper solution for plastic. Then why am I taking this bioplastic seminar or webinar today? I'll come to that point. So they should be recyclable. Now coming to bioplastic, you all would have heard about the term bioplastic, and there are a lot of bioplastics in the market already. So I'm not someone who's coming for the first time and telling that bioplastic has to be used. This since long time people have started making bioplastics. So why bioplastic? The reason is they mainly derived from renewable biomass, and low carbon footprint is there. That's very, very important. And then eco-friendly. They are very, very eco-friendly. Low carbon footprint makes it even more sustainable. When the term sustainability comes, always footprints are very important. Low carbon footprints or water footprints and all these things are very, very important. Footprints are nothing. Like how much quantity it has been used. That's called footprints. It's just a terminology. Okay. So for example, if I call footprint, if I say water footprint, to manufacture a car, recently in news channels in South India, I would have seen that people talk about how much quantity of water is used in manufacturing a car, and it's every parts and everything. Then they totally say that so much volume is used. So that's because of the total footprint count. Like for manufacturing a particular spare part, some other place, some amount of water would have been used. One place and another spare part was made. Some other quantity of footprint water was used. So you sum up everything and you calculate how much of water was used. That's a footprint. So everywhere you have a footprint, right? Wherever you have gone, you leave your footprint. It's like that. Same with carbon also. So wherever it is used and wherever it is disposed, so there all how much carbon is actually emitted. So that carbon footprint is very less in the case of bioplastic. Now, if you see about bioplastic, what is the problem with bioplastic? It is expensive, and moreover, it is made from the food-related materials, crops. So you are making from them, then obviously it is a problem. It is going to cause a food crisis. And some of the people, when they are told that we can use biological materials and convert them into bioplastics, so obviously the industries are going to take up. Then what will happen if the industries are going to take up bioplastic production large scale? Then every agricultural farmer is going to go for that. So will we get food? No, that will be a risky thing. So always you have to see that one solution should not affect or create another problem. So it will generate food crisis, because bioplastics are mostly made from plant-based materials. And the land requirement, you need a lot of land if you want to produce something biological and convert it into a bioplastic. It's huge. So what is the solution? You can use waste, you can use algae, you can use a lot of things and convert them into bioplastic. So what do you have to focus on when we want to make bioplastic? You have to focus on cost effectiveness, and you have to enhance the performance of bioplastic production. Now, what is the status? Now, I have to enhance all these things. What is the status in the global and in region wise? What is the status of bioplastic? You can see globally the production of bioplastic is increasing. If you see Asia, South America, North America, Europe, Australia, and Oceania, that the joint region. So you can see that the production of bioplastic is increasing, as well as the demand for bioplastic is also increasing. If you see the global production of bioplastic, it has reached 2.05 million tons. That's good news, right? It has reached 2.05 million tons. So demand of bioplastic is expected to increase by 19% per year. That's a huge increase. If somebody is going to start that business is going to be solid, and it is going to be giving good return in very short duration, because a 19% increase is so good for business. Then why are we still not having bioplastic, and why are we still not having all these at a very cheap or less cost? Okay, so that question has to be answered. So this 2.05 million tons, if you see, the major producers are Asia. Okay, and we should be very happy. But at the same time, we should know that we produce major amount of plastics, the conventional plastics also. And when it comes to bioplastic production for different applications, so you can see flexible packaging is the one where more bioplastic is produced. If you see flexible packaging, and then it goes to the 14.8%, which is rigid packaging and all. Then you will be surprised, sir, are we really using bioplastic? Is there any material that is made with bioplastic in our daily use? I'm going to show to you in the next slides. Okay, so if you see bioplastic, there are different bioplastics are there. Polylactic acid is there. Okay, PHA is there, and starch is there, cellulose, proteins. These are all bioplastics or biopolymers, which normally people used to call them as. So why actually people are most focusing on PHA and PLA? Because they are mostly biodegradable and more compatible. Okay, in our lab we are focusing more on PHA. So because it is more biodegradable and compatible, and if you see, there are different subtypes of that also, like PHB, PHBV, and PHB also. There are so many. Now, when you look at this bioplastics, you should understand one thing, that these bioplastics are made from plant, or the otherwise in other places, if you see, they are manufactured by chemically. Even though they are bio, they are chemically synthesized. Now that is the truth. That is the truth which you should be aware of. Just because you see the term PLA doesn't mean that polylactic acid is okay, they are synthesizing. No, synthesizing polylactic acid takes you a lot of money and is very costly. So what people are doing is they are making chemically. What is the problem with chemically synthesized? Now this is the point I'm coming to. Many of them they don't know this, or they have ignored, or they have not noticed this. These plastics, the main, if you see conventional plastics, they don't get degraded. It takes a long time. What about these plastics, sir? These plastics takes from 25 to 45 years to degrade. The bioplastics I'm talking about, which are chemically synthesized. Are you all able to follow me? If yes, please say yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you should understand that just because the name bio is added, it is not a bioplastic in origin. So it is mimicking the PLA and PHB. People are chemically synthesizing, which takes again 25 to 35 or 45 years to degrade. So that's why if you see, government norms say that you can actually mix or blend these bioplastics with the existing conventional plastics. Okay, around 10% to 15% blend. And what they label over there, they label it as bioplastics. Now, as a researcher, that puts a lot of stress, telling that no, that is not something advisable. Okay, just because it is written bio, we are all very happy. Oh, it is written bio and we are going to use it. But in reality, it's not a bioplastic. So that's where the question comes, how and what you should do. What is your task? So this, a lot of people have worked on this research also. When I was doing my PhD or doctorate degree, I have seen a lot of papers, a lot of people presenting. But something was missing actually. We always have a habit of telling that I am the first person to do something, I have done something new. Somebody has done something and we say that we have changed little bit and we have done something new. Do you want to claim new novelty based on region, location and so on? Because of that tendency of focusing on only those kind of novelty, we have actually ignored some of the things where European countries and other countries have already moved ahead. Okay. So let's see the timeline. Let's see the timeline of bioplastic development. Till now, what people have done. So it didn't start today, or it didn't start 3 or 4 years before. It started in 1862, where Alexander Pacus, if you see, made first biopolymer from organic material, cellulose, which was known as Pacquicine. Then there was a French microbiologist. So microbiologists play a very important role throughout so many significant discoveries in this world. So 1962 French microbiologist Maurice Limoges made biopolymer, that is PHP. Again, you should see that this is around 50 years back, from bacteria Bacillus megaterium. 1983 Imperial Chemical Industry, that is UK, made first bioplastic from bacteria, and they call it as biopol due to the increase in oil price. Okay, and then 1990 Noamont, that company made bioplastic from renewable biomass. Okay, the Master B company is still manufacturing that from the Noamont. Okay, and then comes in 1992, Chris Somerville reported that bioplastic, that is PHB production from plant, that is especially Arabidopsis, which everybody who is working on botany, they will know this plant very easily. So he reported bioplastic PHB production from that, 1992. Then the Monsanto, very popular company, 1996, they acquired the biopol, and what did they do? From Zeneca they acquired and they manufactured bioplastic from plants instead of microbes. They saw that okay, microbes take a long time, the media cost and so much cost is there. So let's, because separation procedure, a lot of things are there. In that time, part of time, you can see 1990s. Okay, we didn't have the technologies which we have now. So what they went to plants. Now I told you, using plants is always has a cost, that is, it will cause a food crisis. So the world is moving on there because Monsanto, a very big company, went into it. 1997, Cargill and Dow Chemicals produced PLA from corn. Okay, and in 2001 and later rebranded it as NatureWorks in 2005, coming to the recent time now. Then 2001, the Metabolics Inc., they purchased Monsanto's biopol asset and produced bioplastic through microbial fermentation. So one company has gone to plants, the other is still continuing with the microbiological or microorganism based production of bioplastic. So then the Remy Lucas company in the 2010 established a company named Algopac and manufactured bioplastic from seaweeds. You all know seaweeds, which is available freely in the ocean. If you could collect them, clear the seaweeds, then many people will be happy, especially the ship companies will be very happy. You understand? Ship companies face a lot of problem because of seaweeds. Their ship gets degraded because of that. Okay. Last time when I gave an interview to the ship association, so they asked this question. They asked for a solution for that. So that's how I know a lot about it. So they have so much of problem with the seaweeds. Now you can collect the seaweeds and convert. So this company did that. Then 2014, first bio-based sky boots launched under the brand name Pebax Arkema. We have come to our time now. Still, this is a field which is still not come in full bloom, but it has a lot of potential. So this timeline I'm showing to you, to say that actually how it has evolved from the beginning. Always, if you have to come to a place, you should always know the history, how the journey was. Okay, without understanding the journey, you can't come and say something or do something. It may be in any field. That's the fact always, and you have to always acknowledge it also. So in 2018 comes Nestle. They started the industrial production of biopolypropylene. So it's now going on. So people have started making this. Now what is the problem? The problem is the feedstock is a problem. Second problem is most of the chemically synthesized bioplastics are into the market, which are not much degradable. And still, bioplastic, if you see, the thermostability of the bioplastic, thermostability means what? If you heat a plastic, it will melt and you can make a small wire or thin film out of it, isn't it? Yes or no? When you heat and melt a plastic, you can make a thin fiber like film out of a plastic. But with bioplastic, that is still a task which is still not accomplished. You would have seen in the news and all, people show some big sheet of plastic made out of bioplastic and all. Big sheets are possible, but when you are trying to make a small string out of it, that's where the crucial part is, because only then you can make it more flexible, you can take it for different applications. Because already plastics are mostly, I think you would know that inject mold method is there, where plastics are normally used. The machineries are already there. You can't go and ask for a different machinery. You understand? Because that will cause a lot of cost intensive to the companies. Yeah, I think let's go to one example. I think all of you know about biofuels, isn't it? All of you have heard this word biofuel? Yes? Have you heard this word biofuel? Term biofuel, bachcho? Yeah. Exactly. So you have heard the term biofuel. Biofuel, the European Union and everyone, they started investing a lot of money in biofuel production. But did you see any biofuel used, or you are seeing the e-scooters and e-vehicles coming to the market? They wanted to replace diesel. So which one is replacing diesel now? Is the biofuel or it is the e-vehicles? Come on, let me see the answers. E-vehicles. Thank you, Karishma. Thank you. E-vehicles. What is the reason? Because when biofuel was made, the mistake that they did was, they told that you have to use a separate engine, new engine for that. It cannot be worked with the conventional ones. See, industries are already built. You can't go and ask the industry to put a new setup. This researchers has to understand. We always try to tell to the industry that we have already done something and you have to take it. No, industries won't take it like that. So this is something that I think at a budding age itself you have to understand. All that you create or invent cannot be taken to the industry just because it's new. Then you can come to the news channel and just give an interview telling that I made something new, nobody in the country is accepting everything. Okay, but it is not going to be reality. You have to always understand what is already existing in the company. Make sure that the company doesn't invest much, but still adapt your technology. Always invent like that. I hope you take this as a message, as a suggestion from my side. Okay, so in all the inventions that I have made till today, I was able to achieve very quickly a lot of inventions because of this. Okay, in the last 3 years, 3 products I have invented and some of them have come to the market also. So you understand what industry needs. Okay, that, and then only you can expect the microbiology or biotechnology field to go ahead. Otherwise, microbiology and biotechnology field will be always occupied by someone else and we will have to always stand. So we have to understand what is expected on the industrial side. Okay, so what is the status, sir? What is the international status and what is the national status? If you look at the international status, bioplastic production has gone to 2.05 million tons as per 2018 data, because due to COVID, a lot of statistical analysis are not done. So biodegradable, if you see 42.9%, so you understand the biodegradability and non-degradability. So non-biodegradable bioplastics are how much? It is 7.1%. It's more. We can't allow this to go, and again this will create another plastic issue. So always we have problems at hand and we should work on to give the solution. PHA production, if you see, it's 25,350 tons as per 2020. So I think still we can go ahead and increase. In India, we should have a lot of companies which can make PHA and bioplastics in India. We should have. And take the national status. Asia leading the bioplastic market with 58.1 production rate. So that means a lot of scope. And India holds second position in bioplastic production. That's an interesting news. The growth rate, if you see, bioplastic production is growing at 5.08, which is lesser than the plastic production. Problem is going at a faster rate. The solution is coming at a slower rate. You understand? So solution should come at even more faster rate. So a lot of companies has to be started, a lot of research investments has to happen in this field, more than what it is happening now. So if you see the companies like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Toyota, Mercedes-Benz, Nissan, all these companies are actually using bioplastics, but mostly are not biodegradable. Understand? Just because the term bioplastic is there doesn't mean that it's biodegradable. Okay, keep that in mind. So you can see 42.9% and 57.1 is non-biodegradable. Now you see some are biodegradable used by these companies, some are not biodegradable. Now you can see the companies what they use. So you can see this company is using sunglass frames made out of bioplastics. No amount is using food packaging materials and cutlery and trays from bioplastics. So the other company, this ITV company, is using implant and dressing materials using bioplastic. So Earth Soul is using making food packaging and flower pots out of bioplastics. NV Green company is using aprons and laundry. Why am I mentioning these companies? Not every company is making. That's why I'm mentioning certain important companies. So every company have agreed, most of them have agreed to change the way of using plastics, because everybody has agreed to the climate pact that was signed in Paris. So their contribution is expected to be achieved. And you all know that we all have sustainable development goals. Have you heard the term SDG? Have you all heard the term SDG, sustainable development goals? If you have heard the term, please say yes, or you can raise your hand and show that, and then after that you can lower your hand. Have you heard the term sustainable development goals? Yes? If not, I'll tell you, United Nations have brought this sustainable development goals, and there are around 17 sustainable development goals, and every sustainable development goal has some activities. So every country is agreed to achieve that. Earlier it was called as Millennium Development Goals. So if you see the policies of countries made, they all are targeting towards SDG. Okay, so it's very simple to understand. If you understand SDG, you understand where the world is going towards, where the industry is going towards. Okay, so everywhere you see the conference, wherever sustainable is there, but I have seldom seen people discussing sustainable development goals. Only the conference name will be there with the term called sustainability, but you have to understand which target are you focusing on in your conference. That's more important. Then only students will understand, then only you create a next generation of people who understand what is required for the country. Now coming to the point, if you see sustainable development goal, every country is agreed to it, every industry is agreed to it, so that's how you see all these changes coming, the changes which I'm showing over here or pointing it out. So everyone becomes very responsible person. So how was this bioplastic normally made, sir? We look at it. The plant-based materials like cassava, legume, and you see sugarcane, corn, they have cellulose, collagen, polyesters, caseins and starch and so on. So you actually extract from them the biomaterial, the biopolymer. So lactic acids are used, ethanols are used, and you can see that after that the chemical compound like resins and polyethylene, and then finally what you do, the repolymerization process happens. Once the repolymerization is done, then you get the plastic injection molding where it is inserted, and then you make any plastic material. This is very, very common. Okay, once polymerization is the most significant part of this. Many people think that you have starch at home, why are you not able to make plastic? You have to do polymerization. So until then you cannot get the large polymer which looks like a film. Okay, so some of the students I've seen do it yourself videos and all, where people just mix it in the water, then pour it and make a sheet and show that they have made plastic. That's not how plastic is made. Okay, in reality you have to polymerize them. There are particular ways and process to make them. Okay, and then you can see that then that plastic which is made is actually decomposed, tested for that. You can see day 1 and day 50. This is a bio-based plastic. This is a bio-based plastic, not a chemical synthesized bioplastic. Okay, I was already telling you chemically synthesized bioplastic which takes long time. So this is a bio-based bioplastic which gets degraded in 50 days. Again, the question comes the stability of these plastics. If they are degradable, how long can we use them? So these are again questions, lot of questions today I am putting in front of you. These are still to be answered, and I think youngsters like you, whoever is listening to this, you may have the solution with you. You have to come up with that. Lot of research is required. There's nothing that I have to hide from others and I have to do research. No, we all have to share the knowledge. We have to always share so that everybody understands, and lot of solutions should come up. One solution from one person, I think that is literally like cheating. We can't do that. It's a country of full of people and we have to educate them, and everybody should know and contribute for this. So what are the types of bioplastics? You can see there are something called as drop-in bioplastics, which are bio-based polyethylene, bio-based PET, where I told no that you have the blending happening. You blend some of the plastic inside, bioplastic inside, so that's where they call bio-based PET, bio-based PTT, and bio-based PA. And then comes novel bioplastics, where PLA, PHA, they are directly polymerized and used. And then comes conventional plastics, which are non-biodegradable, you know that, PPPE and HDPE and PET. So this side we have this also, which is blended but still not degradable. Okay, this is what is currently in market most of the cases where they label it as bioplastic. Now coming to the biodegradable ones, novel bioplastic, if you see, we have PBAT and PCL, which is coming up actually, which is into the not into the market, which is into the research as of now. So this side, if you see, these are all bio-based, and this side, if you see, these are all fossil-based. So we don't want to go to fossil-based biofuel because it's not sustainable for us. So we want to go to bio-based. And in bio-based also, if you choose, you can't choose the non-biodegradable. You have to choose biodegradable ones. So this is where the biodegradable ones are present. So you have to segregate like this and make your step forward to go ahead. Okay. So what is the property of bioplastics, sir? Some are stiff and brittle. This is a negative aspect of a bioplastic. They are stiff and they are brittle. So they get broken very easily. Okay, we have bioplastics at our home also. A lot of things are there. And biopolymers we can say. So they are brittle also. And some are rubbery and they can be moldable. Rubbery, they are rubbery because of the polymerization chains. The size of the chains are quite long. So they are rubbery and they are moldable. So they must maintain stability during manufacturing process. That's the most important thing. And use but degrade rapidly when disposed of or recycled. That's also very important thing. It should be degradable. So you should be able to manufacture. Its flexibility should be there. At the same time, it should be degradable. So this is a very big problem which all the bioplastics are not able to achieve as of now. And then moisture resistant, it should be moisture resistant. Some of the bioplastics are there. When I started working on bioplastics, there was a criticism that came. People will make fun. Telling, Professor, are you making bioplastic which will melt when the rain comes? You understand? They ask the question, which will melt, the rain comes. So it should not. Okay. So when will it melt? If you look at the YouTube video and make bioplastic by yourself at home, then that will melt. So bioplastic has to be made in a proper way. Now it should be degradable at 185 degrees Celsius. Okay, degrades at 185 degrees Celsius according to the standard testing protocol. Then its property should be manipulatable, and it should be blendable. And you can achieve all these things. Even you should be achievable by genetic modifications also. So just yesterday I was talking to my students to make biopolymers of how to genetic engineer and make biopolymers. So genetic engineering is also something that tool should be used to actually create such biopolymers of long chain, short chains, or whatever you want to make. Today you can use genetic engineering tool to just design the polymers. Today we are in that level. You see, we got the vaccines and other things done very quickly because of genetic engineering. So genetic engineering is a tool which is still to be explored for a lot of different applications. Now as we move on to the environmental impacts of bioplastic, what is environmental impacts of? You know that bioplastics are designed to biodegrade, right? So bioplastics which are designed to degrade can break down in either anaerobic or aerobic environments, depending on how they are manufactured, right? How they are manufactured is very important. While polymerization, manufacturing, you are blending with conventional plastic, then obviously even though you call it as bioplastic, it will not be degradable. Now bioplastics are environmentally friendly. Why? because their production, they will result in some of the emission of very less emission of carbon dioxide. I already told you the carbon footprints is very, very less, and which could lead to the global warming. Those can be avoided, because if you have the conventional plastic, their degradation is going to generate a lot of carbon dioxide. When we normally evaluate them in the soil, we check for how much of carbon dioxide is evolved. If any of you is working here with conventional plastic and degradation, you will understand in the protocol itself we have how much of carbon dioxide is emitted. If you see that so much of carbon dioxide is emitted when you degrade plastics, blend plastic as well as conventional plastics. But in the case of bioplastic, it should be very, very less. It will be there, but it should be very, very less. A few, we should say. A few quantity only should be emitted. Then the bioplastics, if you see the environmental impact of them, they are also biodegradable, as I told. So that means that should return to its natural form. From where it came, it should go back. So everything, it comes out of soil and nature, it should go back to the nature. Understand? So if you bury them into the ground, it should be degradable, and we should not have the problem that we are facing now, that we find the plastics even 100 years. It should not be there. That state should not be there. It should be degradable. Then only we'll have a positive impact to the environment. If otherwise, how the things are currently there, I don't think that we are still achieved that sustainability. So this is a very big problem that we still have. If you say 57% of bioplastics itself is non-degradable, then forget about the plastics. Already we have a lot of plastics. So bioplastic is coming as a solution, but still it has problem within. So I'm just going to brush through this slide. I will share with you guys. So it will be shared with you. So uses of bioplastic, you see, it is used in electronic industries. So which electronic industry is using that? For which purpose it is using? It's mentioned here. It is used for packaging. Bioplastic is used in packaging. It's used in catering products. It is used in gardening. Okay, and it is used in medical products also. And then it is used in sanitary products also. Okay, sanitary products today, a lot of people were working on sanitary products which are biodegradable. So a lot of applications and scopes are there, but every application needs improvement. So improvement part, still there is lot of ocean full of requirement. So biodegradation of bioplastic. So if you see bioplastic, they are fastest in anaerobic sewage and slowest in seawater. They are fastest in anaerobic sewage, slowest in seawater. So we have to be very careful that the plastics doesn't reach the seawater, because the degradation is very, very slow there. But they are there, but they are slow. Then depends on temperature, light, and as well as the water content, the moisture available there, and how much of surface area is exposed to the microorganism. That's also important. So some people suggest that we can cut it into pieces and then expose to the microorganism. Anyway, so then the microbial activity, the concentration of microorganisms, the pH, all these things are very important in the biodegradation of bioplastic. So degrading microbes, what they do, they colonize the polymer surface and they secrete PHA depolymerase enzyme. So PHA is very commonly used nowadays as bioplastic. So PHA depolymerase enzyme is secreted, and that enzyme is going to degrade the bioplastic. So you can see here the reaction. PHA is converted into carbon dioxide and water, that is aerobically. And anaerobically, if you see, it is converted to carbon dioxide, water, and then we have CH4, methane. So if I would always prefer this one, but in anaerobic condition it's quite faster. So if you have to make sure that this CH4 is utilized for some other purpose, we could collect them and use it for some other purpose. So the carbon cycle of plastics, if you want to know, you can see that the carbon cycle of plastic over here, biodegradation happens, it converts into carbon dioxide and water, and then you can see that goes for photosynthesis, you all know, and then plants, then it becomes again carbohydrates, then fermentation, then it can become biopolymer, then again recycle, biodegradation. So the carbon cycle of bioplastics is very good. It goes back to where it was and then it's circulated. So nothing is going out. If there is any leakage over here going out, then that's not something that is advisable. There shouldn't be anything that is going out. So again, you can recycle from here. Again, you can recycle it into biopolymer. Any wastage that comes out of here, recycled, and then again made into the product. Okay, so this is how the scope is very, very good. So the future aspect of bioplastic, if you ask me, it can be used for general food packaging, vehicle manufacturing, housing, medicines and micro encapsulations, electronics as well. So many scopes are there, And the industries are watching very closely the improvements that are coming from bioplastic. We see in Delhi itself there are so many industries that has come up, and they are asking for consultation and other things. So as scientists, it is our job to consult and provide them suggestions, because we need such changes to come in our society. If you expect a change in our society, you should not keep thinking about it. You should start to work rather than just giving talks or talking about it and sympathizing is not going to work out. So in conclusion, if you ask me, bioplastic is a reality and a practical truth. So our willingness and improvement in technology will give it a wider success. So it's up to you guys, whoever is listening here, and every citizen of this world have this role that they have to change their behavior to move from plastic to bioplastic. It is always the consumers who are responsible for that. If you encourage the plastic, obviously plastic will be produced. So whatever demand you are creating, that's what the industry is going to supply. You would have heard about non-involvement movement and other things which our country has already gone through. So you can understand that once you say that you want to use bioplastic only, you don't want plastic, the normal plastics to be used, then the company will understand, okay, people are expecting and we have to give that. But if we start agreeing and accepting, then certainly we are answerable to the future generation. So you leave money or assets, they are secondary things. Are you leaving a sustainable environment to the next generation? So the next generation will ask you, what rights did you have to spoil the earth that we deserve to live? So you should be answerable for that. Each and everyone sitting over here, including me, or we are all someone who is responsible for that. And I hope that everyone will act very responsibly, and we all will have our part. Nobody can find out, the one solution cannot be given by one person. It's all joint contribution from a lot of people going to give one solution. Okay, so that's it I wanted to share. If you have any questions, you can ask. Do you have any questions? Yes.
So what is the role of bioplastics in food industry?
In food industries, they can be used for packaging. Okay, some of the food products, some of the food products which are kept in refrigerators and other things, they don't need any very thermostable or high temperature stable plastics. So for them, bioplastics can be used, but not at very low temperatures. At low temperatures, bioplastic is found to be brittle. So what I'm telling over here is, we understand the positive things about bioplastic, but still there is a lot of research that has to be done to give it a wider application. But requirement in food industry is huge, because today food industry has a lot of packaging material, a lot of food products are coming in packed materials. So packaging has become an inevitable thing for food industry. Yes.
So what is the melting point of bioplastic? Just temperature to tolerate?
No, that's a interesting question. If you see the melting point of bioplastic, okay, melting point of bioplastic is very, very less. So that's where we are all working on, even including me. We are working on creating a very thermo-tolerant or thermostable bioplastic, we can say. Okay, so there is a transition temperature. I don't know whether you guys would understand. That's something related to chemistry, where you will have a transition temperature. So if you see glass transition temperature for bioplastic, it's around less than 60 degrees Celsius. Okay, less than 60 degrees Celsius, or around 60, 62, 63 and all. I think people would have raised to 65. But plastics, if you see, they can withstand more temperature. The glass transition temperature we say. Okay, TG. So that is more in the case of conventional plastics. So that's where bioplastics are failing. But still, I think people are trying to make some of the composite plastics and bringing it about some 70 degrees Celsius or something like that. But you should understand that that is different from the melting. I think you are asking the melting point. Melting point obviously is high. It doesn't matter about the melting at all. Melting point is obviously high. But it's about the transition. Transition is change from one phase to another phase. That is what we are always worried about. Anyone else? I think a lot of questions are coming. Can anyone read out those questions? Is it possible?
Okay, sir. One question from Ilakya. What is the role of bioplastic in medical field?
See, in medical field, there are a lot of things. In this slide itself, I had shown to you. So, in medical fields, if you see, bioplastic is actually used for what is that? Reabsorbing plastics, where you have they put stitches and other things. Reabsorbing plastic is used, and for packaging some of the medical equipments. And if you see, the outer layer of the equipments are normally sealed with plastic. I don't know whether you have seen or not. They don't want any microorganisms to come in contact, so they wrap it with plastic. So those places it can be used. As of now, only that much is there. But in future, it should be replaced in all the ways. Wherever in medical field, we use lot of, if you see syringes are always packed inside plastic covers, right? So many syringes are used per day. So they can be made with bioplastics, the covers, and as well as the syringe inside is made up of plastic. They are all not so easily degradable, so they can all be made with bioplastic in the future. We don't have such quality bioplastic as of now. We are still in the budding stage. After 150, 200 years, everyone will be talking about wonderful achievement of bioplastic. That's a different story then. But as of now, it's still a field where we have to work on.
Thank you, sir. So one more question from student side. His name is Darwin. Are the properties of bioplastic equal to those of conventional plastic?
No. That is where I told that we have to work on till there is work to be done. Okay, we can do it. It's not that we can't do it, but we have to focus on that. The problem is the person who is making bioplastic will be a microbiologist. Now this requires chemistry. So when they make a team, to all the students I'm telling this, listen very carefully. When you make a team of all microbiologists. Then what will you achieve? I don't think you can achieve anything. You need a team of different people in your team. You can't have a microbiologist itself in another person. Then what happens? You don't get a solution. You make a product which will neither be chemically evaluated or technically or mechanically evaluated. So that's where still there the achievement is only in that level. You make something new, okay. You tell to the world you have made something new, and that it doesn't go beyond that. So that's why bioplastic improvement is still not as it is expected, even though it was started long back in the 18th century.
Thank you, sir. One more question, sir. What are the specific plants required for production of bioplastics?
Any plant which is rich in sugar content, it's just a fermentation. Fermentation is a process to make bioplastic. So anything that is rich in sugar, so corn is normally used, which is a fast going crop, I think 70 days, 50 to 70 days it takes, so people use corn. Okay. But other than that, I think there are other lot of materials which are rich in sugar is used. So you can take waste. If you ask me, I always suggest going for waste. We have waste which are rich in sugar and organic content, right? So that can be converted into plastic by fermentation process, which is what my team of students are currently working on. We are converting a lot of different waste into plastic, bioplastic.
Thank you, sir. One more question, sir. What is the effect of plastics after converting to microplastic and nanoplastic?
See, direct effect, you see, the only thing is people believe that it blocks the cell, the movement of ions through the cells and other things if it goes and attached to the cells, or inside the body, inside the fish, if it goes, it blocks, the digestion problem happens and intestinal blockade happens and all those things. But in more problematic thing, if you see, that is the indirect one, where to the microplastics the pathogens can attach and they are floating readily available, and heavy metals and all polluting agents, they can attach to them, which you will not be aware of, and nanoplastics are so small that you can't see. So it will be looking like a dust particle, but it will be adhering all these things to it, which is going to cause problem for you. So with the amount of bioplastics still now, people are able to connect it to different problems that are there, and a lot of research in my circle of friends. So if you want to know more about microplastic, I think you should read about Jambak, her papers. She is, we can say, the pioneer in this microplastic and nanoplastics. So Jenna Jambak, So she is the one who worked in the Mariana Trench in Pacific. So they were there, found out that so much of microplastic and nanoplastics are there. So many things. It's just a budding field. In last 5 years, it has grown up in leaps and bounds. So I hope that a lot of people will be doing research in microbiology field also to understand how microorganism and microplastics are interacting and what problems they can cause in terms of disease and other things, spreading disease and other things. We should always be ready. Otherwise, when we face a problem like corona, I think you should not find out a solution later. You should always be ready with whatever may come. So that's what education gives us, always to prepare ourselves before. Okay. Anything else?
Sure, sir. Thanks, sir. One more question, sir. What about edible plastic?
Edible plastic?
Sir, questions from student side.
Okay.
Arun, sir.
Okay. There's nothing like edible plastic and all. If you say edible plastic, it's not plastic then. Okay. So they are just starch and other things. You can't say them edible. Okay. When you say plastic, it should be polymerized. Okay. Starch also should be polymerized and you have to use it in that way. You have powdered starch and don't call it as biopolymer. So biopolymer, when I say it's polymerization, should have happened. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, students, if you have any doubt, kindly interact with our chief guest.
Okay, ma'am. Sir, is bioplastic is fragile? Can we use it as electric insulation?
As of now, I don't think that anybody is using it as an insulator. So let me tell you one thing. When we make a product, we should understand that there are industrial certifications available for that, for any product. For example, I have made one product in my lab, so along with CSR, which we waited for 2 years to get certification from the government. Okay, BIS certification, and they had to amend the procedures itself to use it. Let me just show you that. So this is one product which is made from rice waste, which you should have heard in the news, where they actually burn the waste, parali waste, and stubble burning, which is you would have heard, where pollution comes to Delhi and other places. So this is one solution, which is a cardboard which is made out of that. You can see that very close, but it was made 3 years before. We are still waiting for the certificate to come. So we should understand that we have to make as industry requires. So that needs a lot of modifications from the bioplastic that is available. So we have to work on that. R&D has to be done. If you think about it, you have to work on that. I don't think that is available, but you can still work on that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks for your wonderful presentation. Now I invite Ms. Krishna, from Assistant Professor, Department of Microbiology, to deliver a vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Please proceed.
Thank you, sir. So good afternoon to all, and it is considering as a privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks. And I, on behalf of Department of Microbiology, I thank all those who are present here. And first and foremost, I would like to thank our chief guest, Professor Dr. Justin Samuel, Waste Valorization Research Lab, School of Bioengineering and Biosciences, Lovely Professional University, Jalandhar, Punjab, for delivering the topic Bioplastic Potential and Scope for a Sustainable Environment. Thank you, sir. And in today's world, the microplastic is being the most threatening word, and bioplastic is the most promising word. And you have explained them in a fantastic way. And I sure that we all will contribute on this for the betterment of tomorrow. And thank you very much, sir, for your outstanding presentation. And I may like to express our sincere thanks to our CEO, Dr. Manikyam, for his constant support and encouragement. And I also wish to extend my gratitude to our principal, Dr. R. Muralidharan, for providing guidance. And I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for Dr. P. Srinivasan, Head of the Department of Microbiology, for organizing this event. And I'm also very grateful to all my fellow colleagues for their support throughout this event. Finally, a big thank you to all the participants. Thank you all for your cooperation and participation. Once again, thank you all.
I just want to add on something. Thank you all for inviting me. Thank you, Dr. Srinivasan, for making this possible so that I can interact with the students. And thanks to, I think, Professor Mrs. Violet Beulah for approaching me. And thanks to the entire team for making this happen, and thanks to the management also. Thank you from my side.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think I can sign off, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
If
Yes.
any student wants to reach me, they can obviously reach me through the email ID. I think I'll say, please note down JASTIN dot 22757 @lpu.co.in. lpu.co.in.
Sir, can you text it in the text box?
Yeah, I'll do it now.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Students, kindly check your chat box. The feedback link is available. So kindly fill and get your certificate.